Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 10th episode of the Not Your Everyday MMA podcast. My name is Alex Henry, and I'm with Tori Habrel. And you guys missed Tori and I last week. I was very busy. Tori was very busy. Our goal was to not miss a podcast until the new year, and we already failed. But guys, we got a lot of new subscribers, a lot new interaction. 278 subscribers. We're very thankful for that.
Yes, thank you guys so much.
And we're gonna keep dropping videos. We got some big things coming very soon. So we're gonna make it up. We're gonna make it up to you guys. I know you're really upset that we missed a video, but we're gonna make it up to you. And I vow to get our podcast back on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. I vow I will do it. I will crawl and grind and whatever I need to do to get those podcasts back on. I'm going to do it. But anyway, Tori, how are you? You ready to get into this?
I am. Disclaimer too, I wanted to just say on the podcast, guys, my TikTok account is being banned on and off. It's weird. Haven't been able to post, haven't been able to go live, have been. So I'm trying my best to put content out there, but stuff just isn't working out. Emailed them though. I have it back. So just wanted to put that out there because TikTok is kind of mean sometimes.
Hey, Tori, nobody said it was going to be an easy trip to the top.
No one did.
There's gonna be some trials and tribulations we're gonna have to get through. And that's what we're doing today. We're episode 10. We made it this far to 10 episodes. They say if you can get 12 episodes of a podcast, you will you're already like 80% ahead of everybody else who's ever made a podcast. So
yeah,
we're 2 away from that. And technically we already have more videos than that anyway.
Yeah.
If you count our interviews. So enough with the long, drug out introduction. I have a fuzzy on my shirt. Jake Paul knocked down and beat Anderson Silva this Saturday. Tori, we're not a boxing channel, but Anderson Silva is an MMA legend. And that crowd, if you watched it, was a very large MMA crowd. Nobody barely cheered.
Not a lot of boxing fans. Yeah.
So real quickly, I just wanted to get your thoughts on what you thought about Anderson Silva's performance, what you think about Jake Paul and what he does for MMA and boxing. Maybe some other takeaways too.
Yeah, I mean, no discredit to Jake Paul. This man is he's building up his resume. He's improving. This man's training. He's taking this seriously. So I mean, props to him. It's just he needs to fight people in his level. I mean, come on, he's fighting these older, retired MMA, like these MMA legends almost. And it's just, you have Anderson Silva, who looked good during the fight. He didn't look bad, but I mean, he just wasn't great. He wasn't very active in the beginning of the fight. He gave up a few rounds. And you could just tell the age difference, and it really shows. Overall, Anderson Silva looks kind of like the better fighter. It's just Jake is younger. He's just, you know what I mean? He has more potential, and just Anderson has already gone through so many fights. He's gotten hit so many times. He's trained so much. He's just been through a lot compared to Jake, who's young and upcoming. And I mean, I'm not hating on Jake Paul at all. I'm just like, dude, come on. Like, you're calling out Nate Diaz after this. Like, Nate Diaz, in my opinion, would have a way less chance of beating him than Anderson Silva, like for sure. And so I'm like, dude, come on. Like, let's call it some actual boxers. Like, you want to take this seriously? Let's retire from MMA. But if you want to fight these MMA fighters, go in the octagon, go in the cage and fight them. Don't be fighting them in boxing, because Nate Diaz isn't even like the best striker in the world. This man's jiu-jitsu. And yes, he fought Anderson Silva, but Anderson Silva is in his 40s. He is far past his prime. And I'm just like, I don't know. Props to him for winning, but I think if he wants to earn the respect of the combat community, he needs to fight some like actual boxers,
Yeah, he does. He needs to fight an actual boxer. I 100% agree. I do understand some parts of Jake Paul. I was actually talking to an MMA coach I know in Akron, and he was saying, how a lot of boxers wait until their 10th or 11th fight to actually fight a real legit boxer, and they'll fight cans in 4-round fights. And Jake Paul's fighting at least more than 4-round fights. So
yeah, he is.
I give him some credit there. Also, I mean, it's all about the money at the end of the day, Tori. Yeah. If he fights Nate Diaz, yeah, he's probably going to sweep him. But that could be like $1 million, literally $1 million pay-per-view. I don't know if that's crazy for me to say, but in my mind, just with the promotion and the personalities, I think that could be really big. Anderson looked a lot better than I thought he would. I did have Jake Paul winning in my very, very, very little knowledge of scoring boxing. It's okay. I probably know just as much as the boxing scores anyway. But yeah, shout out Jake Paul, shout out Anderson Silva for getting in the ring with him, jeopardizing his legacy. Personally, it doesn't hurt my opinion on his legacy any, but hey, to some it might. So
yeah. And apparently, this is real quick. Apparently, Jake Paul said the pay-per-view did not do as well as we thought.
No. I mean,
it like 500, 600,000.
I think he said 200 to 300.
Oh.
So that's like really, really small. Yeah. It could have been because it's Halloween time. It's also NFL season,
YouTube
NBA
boxing.
season. Yeah, who knows?
YouTube boxing, like, who knows?
Right.
But good for them. They did that. I mean, Jake Paul's continuing on his little combat career, so I mean, we'll see. Maybe he'll fight Canelo next.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? But no.
I can't imagine. I can't imagine ever.
I don't think I want to.
We'll see. Yeah. So fight night happened last week, and obviously Tori and I did not cover it, but we will give you our thoughts on the main event. Pretty sad, Tori. Calvin Kattar took on Arnold Allen. Give me your thoughts on what you took away from that fight, and maybe how you're looking at the weight class now.
Well, right now the weight class is just in a really weird circumstance. I mean, we had this outcome with Kattar versus Allen, then we had Yair versus Ortega not too long ago as well, kind of the same sort of thing. So it's just kind of where do the winners of these fights go, and the losers, it's like they don't really get discredited, but I mean, they kind of miss out on the opportunities within the division. And so, I mean, Arnold Allen, he looked great. I said this, I posted a video about it a couple months ago where I made matchups I want to see within the featherweight division. And I said Arnold Allen versus Max Holloway. I think that'd be a really fun fight. We've been seeing a lot of younger contenders lower in the rankings. I mean, he's not even low in the rankings, but you know what I mean? Lower in the rankings, fight these top contenders. And I think that'd be a great new fight for Max Holloway to be like, you want to come to the top, like be the best. Beat him. He's almost like, unfortunately, the gatekeeper of the division now, but it's okay. But I mean, it's just unfortunate because we never know how the fight would have played out. Allen looked great in the first round, and then unfortunately that happened. Was it the knee for Kattar? And it was just it's sad. But and then same circumstance with Yair. I mean, what do you do? Because it was in the first round. That doesn't mean he like is better than Brian Ortega, because we don't know, because it was the first round, and it's just a bunch of these unfortunate circumstances occurring. So I mean, in terms of that, maybe Yair versus Allen for interim, but then you also have Emmett waiting there too. So I kind of want to see maybe Yair versus Emmett, and then I'm thinking Holloway versus Allen for some fights in the featherweight division.
I 100% agree with you, Tori. I mean, you pretty much like stole the thoughts out of my brain there.
Brain.
I think Arnold Allen's legit too. And even though I kind of thought he was losing in that fight before the knee injury, not by much, but in terms of the output that he was taking in, I was kind of a little worried for him for a second.
Yeah.
I would have predicted Arnold Allen to win that fight. I'm not just saying that because he won. But I do think he's legit. I do think he is the guy that could be the guy. So why not make that Max Holloway fight? Makes a lot of sense. I wouldn't mind seeing him there. I don't hate man, it's a very difficult weight class, Tori. Let's transition actually. So Bryce Mitchell was supposed to fight Ivalov. That fight got dropped. Now Bryce is taking Ilia Topuria, right? And that's the same weight class. I mean, these are some up and coming guys. 282 in Las Vegas, December 10th. Tori, we're not going to predict this fight, break it down, but just give me your initial thoughts on hearing this fight.
I almost like this fight better because it's a hype train against a hype train. You know, it's just like, not hype trains, but two people that are well known that are coming up in the rankings. I think it's really interesting. I'm excited. I love seeing Thug Nasty out there with the camo shorts, and Ilia Topuria. I mean, he's a very entertaining fighter to watch, and I reviewed some of his tape recently after that fight got announced, and it's going to be a really good matchup for the both of them. And I mean, this division that's stacked, it's really weird circumstances. And this is going to sound bad. It's just so funny just because I'm seeing all these like upcoming contenders, but in my mind, just no one's getting close to Volkanovski.
Right.
Like, I just don't see anyone getting close to him. So I guess we'll see. But I mean, It's a stacked division. I mean, bantamweight, featherweight, and lightweight are all it's just back to back to back to back. And so, I mean, it's an awesome fight. I'm excited to see it. UFC 282 is looking real good. And I mean, I don't really know who I'm going to be rooting for in that one, but it's going to be exciting.
Yeah, Ilia's 14th in the ranking. Bryce Mitchell's 9th. Obviously, rankings recently in UFC have kind of not mattered. And I hate that because I really enjoy being able to look at rankings when I'm trying to do my fantasy booking of matches.
Yeah.
But I do agree that I do think this is a good fight for both fighters. Both fighters undefeated in their pro careers as well. So yeah, this is gonna be a big fight. I love seeing camo shorts.
Yeah.
I like Ilia Topuria's tattoos. I think they're both good fighters too,
Yeah.
obviously. So I'm very much looking forward to this fight. Another fight on the same card, December 10th, UFC 282, Las Vegas. Jared Gordon taking on Paddy the Baddie Pimblett. We're
I'm
gonna
excited.
finally see Paddy in a pay-per-view in the US.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Tori, give me your initial thoughts when you heard that this fight was coming on.
This worries me just a teensy bit because him and Molly aren't on the same card this time.
Mm-hmm.
That's like a good luck charm. Like that's just me being superstitious. I'm like, wait, what's gonna happen if they're not fighting on the same card? But
Right.
I'm excited to see Paddy back in action. I mean, Gordon does have experience. He does have some good wins behind him. He has fought Oliveira. He did lose to Oliveira, but it's okay. I mean, he has Chavez on there. He just won against Santos, and then he did lose by submission against Dawson. And just he does have ability to get finished because he has been finished a couple of times. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that's on Paddy. That's a pro on Paddy's part. But I'm excited to see Paddy. Maybe after this he'll enter the rankings or he'll fight someone within the rankings. It's always fun to see Paddy though. I've grown to be a really really big fan of him and Molly. So I mean I'm stoked for this fight.
Yeah, I also have grown to be a big Paddy fan, which I think most UFC fans have.
Yeah.
Uh, Now we saw with Sean O'Malley, right? He took the slow approach, kind of not fighting cans necessarily, but easier fights and
Mm-hmm.
slowly worked his way up. And then we saw what happened. Then he skyrocketed and
Yeah.
fought the number one contender. Maybe this is what Paddy's trying to do. Maybe, this Jared Gordon fight puts him into the top 15. He takes one top 15 fight and boom, maybe he's in number one contender contention, which would be pretty
Yeah.
cool. I do like this fight for Paddy on paper right now, but I'm not going to predict it yet. So
Yeah.
another fight for Australia, which UFC is coming to Australia, super, super cool. February
Yes.
11th,
I'm
uh,
excited.
UFC 284, Paulo Costa taking on Robert Whittaker. Tori, what are your initial thoughts on this fight?
Okay, I don't love it. I mean, I like both of them. I'm excited to see them fight, but I just in my mind I have Robert Whittaker all the way. Like no
Yeah.
doubt, prediction right now, pure domination by Robert Whittaker. Maybe not a knockout or finish, but I think Robert Whittaker takes it just because of how Marvin Vettori beat Paulo Costa. It was in a dominant fashion, and then how Robert Whittaker beat Marvin Vettori in an insanely dominant fashion. And so it's exciting. I'm excited for it. It makes sense within the division. And I guess the winner of that will maybe face the winner of Piera versus Izzy. You never know, but I mean, I love watching the Reaper fight. He's such a cool dude, so I'm excited. I think I mean, sorry, early prediction. I just like right when I heard it, I was like, I'm Robert Whittaker. Like, I'm sorry, Robert Whittaker. But I mean, what do you think?
No, I agree, Robert Whittaker. And this is a hard fight to make, right? Because Robert Whittaker literally just beat Marvin Vettori. So now what?
Yeah,
Jared Cannonier would have been a fun fight in my opinion. I would have liked
yeah,
to see Kelly Gorilla maybe take on Bobby Knuckles.
that's a good point. I never thought about that. That's a good fight.
Maybe Sean Strickland, but I think Paulo Costa's probably a better fight
Mm-hmm.
for Robert than Sean Strickland would have been. So I'm okay. I'm okay with Paulo, but I would have really liked to see that Kelly Gorilla matchup. However, Robert Whittaker, I when I entered the UFC, I kind of slept on him because Israel was my favorite, and I always just saw
Yeah,
Israel ragdoll him. Maybe not in the second fight as much, but in the first one, yes. But man, and the more and more I study this guy and watch this guy, I see how legit he is. I see all that
yeah,
potential. I see that this guy should be carrying a belt, but he just can't get past the next guy. So I do see him beating Paula initially right now, as in the day that we are recording this, November
mm-hmm.
2nd. But that might
Yeah.
change. right? So yeah, a lot of fun fights coming up in the
Mm-hmm.
UFC. The more that they come out, the more we'll talk about them. Give that
Yeah.
news to you guys. But right now, Tori, we're gonna get into fight night.
Alrighty. Perfect. For the main event of, I mean, not for the main event, for the first fight of the main card, we have Dawson versus Madsen in a lightweight bout. I mean, you have Dawson, who's coming off of a win against Jared Gordon. He is undefeated in the UFC. He's currently 18-1-1. And then you have Madsen 12-0, who is also, he's undefeated. Madsen is an Olympic, I believe, an Olympic athlete. Really good wrestling. And that's kind of it. Really good wrestling is, I mean, just not great stand up, really stiff. But just, and then he had that Clay Guida fight where he just did not look good. He tried to stand up and strike, and it didn't look beautiful. He did kind of end up winning that, but it wasn't a great fight. But he just does have that ability to take you down at any point. He's very, very strong, and just, yeah, I mean, it's just kind of, that's kind of it. He's a pure wrestler. And then you have Dawson, who is kind of he like I said before, he's undefeated in the UFC. He's a diverse fighter. He's very diverse in his striking. He's always switching stances. He has pretty good power. He's an up and coming prospect. Pretty good grappling, not great conditioning, can kind of get tired a little bit, but overall he's good everywhere. And I think I'm taking Dawson on this one just because of how one-sided Madsen is. And I think this might be the time where Madsen might get finished. So right now I think I'm going to go Dawson by, I think I'm going to go late, like third round knockout. Cause I think it's going to be a little too much for Madsen just because of how stiff he can be in his movement. And yeah.
Yeah, Tori, I kind of disagree with you with a few things here. So let's talk about it. Madsen was a Greco-Roman wrestler in the Olympics. I think personally his striking is actually getting better. I don't think it's good. I don't even think it's average. But the one thing that he's shown is that he can put some power behind his shots. I think every time that Madsen can get you on the ground and get a takedown, he wins that round. Maybe not the whole fight, but if he can take you down and keep you there, he's going to win that round. Dawson, I think Dawson's more of a just wrestler in general than an overall good fighter. Obviously, we have seen him strike, and that's also kind of iffy too. He averages 3.97 takedowns a fight, though. So quite a bit of takedowns there. And a lot of people are saying Dawson, because Madsen hasn't been using his wrestling as much. Great point. Think that's the best argument. But if you look at it in terms of a wrestler versus a wrestler, which is kind of how I'm viewing this fight, I think that Madsen has maybe this much better of a stand-up game. And because of that, if Madsen can maybe land a couple power shots, take him down, I'm going to take the underdog here. I don't necessarily like the pick, Tori, but my gut's telling me Mark Madsen. I like my wrestlers. Everybody that's been with the channel knows I like to pick the wrestlers. But yeah, this is really a coin toss for me. I understand why people are picking Dawson. I know Madsen hasn't looked the best as of late, and I know Dawson's looked good. But just in terms of wrestling, I think Madsen's a little better. If it stays on the feet, I think that Madsen can at least hold his own. So I'm going to go with Madsen.
Yeah, and I mean, it does make sense. It's just the thing with Madsen in his striking is he's one of those people that learned to strike way later in his career. And it's just that sometimes it can't work, when you get to the UFC. And so, I mean, it is improving, but it's definitely not where it needs to be. But I mean, the wrestling is definitely it's a threat. It's a threat. Just how strong he is and how his ability to get those takedowns. So I mean, it's also it's a coin toss, but I think I'm gonna go with I'm gonna stick with Dawson on this one. I think he might finish him. I don't know, but that's what I'm making a little bit of a bold prediction.
No, that's a good pick. That's a good pick. The next fight, Tori, on this main card for fight night, Tagir Ulanbekov taking on Nate Manez. Tagir, great wrestler. 3.67 takedowns. He averages a fight. He can strike when he needs to, but he really isn't that good at it. He has a total of 9 takedowns in his last 2 fights. Nate Manson can also wrestle if he needs to, and he kind of has some submissions as well. But when I look at Nate, I just think tough fighter. He's pretty good at using kicks. And the thing I like about Nate Manson is, I mean, I don't know. This is purely based off me watching, but
Mhm.
I'm sure he goes into fights with some game plan. But when I watch his fights, it almost seems like he's ready to make any adjustment to do what he has to win, even though I don't think he is that well rounded of a fighter. It's more so, all right, this guy wants to wrestle with me, I'll wrestle with him. This guy
Mhm.
wants to strike with me, I'll strike with him. That could all just be my, my over studying and over
Yeah.
viewing of breaking this guy down, but that's kind of how I see it, and I kind of like that.
Mhm.
And I hate not picking the wrestler, but Tagier looked a little rough in his last fight versus Tim Elliott, and
Yes.
I'm not sure if Tagier can slug it out with someone who is well-rounded like Nate Manez. Nate has a takedown in all of his fights too, and a better takedown defense with
Mhm.
75%. So I think that Nate can take it. I like Tagier. I think he should win this fight,
Mhm.
but based off his last fight and based off what I've seen from Nate Manez, I'm going with Nate here, Tori.
I'm gonna have to agree with you. And also I want to say how this man is like 5'10" and in the flyweight division. That is
Very big.
that's crazy.
Yep.
That is pretty crazy. Anyways, I mean, yeah, I mean, Ulanbekov, he is coming off of loss. He just did not look that great in his last fight. And if you saw, I think was it Habib just yelling in his corner, just like yelling at him and yelling at him. And it was like, oh, it was rough
Yep.
to watch. I felt bad. But I mean, he's very grappling heavy, and just pretty good striking, not great.
Not great.
Overall, I think he is the more well-rounded guy. I think he has more ability to like just more well-rounded, can go to the ground, has pretty good stand-up. But I think Manis might finish him. I mean, he has good knockout power.
Yeah.
And I mean, he needs to just use his straight jabs over and over again, and just use his reach to his advantage, especially with him being this tall in this division. Like, can you imagine him facing a guy like Moreno? Like,
Right.
he's
Right.
so huge. Just if he uses his range well and just sticks to those straights and just shots down the middle and down the pipe and just keeps on kind of moving in and out, I think he can do it. But I mean, on Bekov, he does have good wrestling, so if he can get level change and just level change and control him there, it's just I don't know, but I think I'm gonna go with Manis here. I think it's gonna be a by finish. I just think he has too much power and just Bekov didn't look amazing in his last fight,
No,
so
he didn't.
so
That's
I'm
the
gonna go Manis.
basis of
Yeah,
my pick. Yeah, that's kind of
yeah,
the
me
basis
too.
of my pick. So
Yeah, and then we agree on that one, so that's good.
yes,
And
we
then
do.
next up, we have a heavyweight fight between Sherman and Parisian. I believe that's not, is I don't even know if it's Parisian or Parisian. Parisian. Parisian.
Yes.
I feel like it's
Yes.
Parisian. I'm not for sure, so we're just gonna go with that. But I mean, you have Sherman, who is a pure boxer. Tries to look for the finish all the time. He's always offense, pressure fighter, always moving forward, always looking for those power shots. Can get taken down easily. And just overall not very, very well rounded. And then you have Parisian, who is very well. He's a good, well-rounded mixed martial artist. He's always has good performances. Just kind of more of a complete fighter. If he wants to win this fight, he should use his grappling because he does have someone like the back pocket. I think he has better defense in total because Sherman has kind of proven to just be kind of stiff a little bit as well, just not a lot of head
Yep.
movement all the time.
Yep.
And yeah, I think Parisian, if he wants to, he should use his ground and pound. He should take Sherman down, kind of wear him out a little bit, take him down and do some ground and pound and maybe finish him and get him out of there. And just kind of take his least damage as possible. But you never know because Sherman just does have that one punch power. And so it's a very interesting fight. I'm excited, but I think I'm gonna go Parisian. I kind of want to say like I'm gonna say he takes him down and finishes him on the ground, not by submission, but I think ground and pound. I'll say like by like round 2 or something because I think Sherman might get worn out a little bit in the first. So yeah, it's gonna be my pick.
Yep. Not a bad pick. Looking at Josh, he's got a lot of volume at heavyweight, 20 pro bouts and like 11 knockouts.
Yeah.
And like you mentioned, he's shown that he can wrestle if he needs to, and if he does need to, he's good at it. But most of his fight, his high output is what has helped him win his fights. Chase Sherman has really good speed for his weight class. You mentioned his boxing, but you also mentioned his poor defense. He absorbs 6.51
Yeah.
strikes per minute. Not very good. He's coming off a knockout win, so maybe he's got some confidence, but he also has a 16-10 record. And I was looking at that. And I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
16-10 in the UFC. That's weird. Let me do
That's
some
crazy.
research. He actually got cut from the UFC and was re-signed. Couldn't tell you why. I'm not Dana White, but he was re-signed, stepped into a fight So now he's kind of back here. But I mean, 16-10 for a UFC fighter that absorbs 6.51 strikes per minute. I don't even need to know his opponent. I'm not
Yeah.
picking him. I think
Yeah, 16-10, that's crazy. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think Josh is an easy win. The UFC is the best fighters in the world. How do you have 10 losses on your pro bout record? I don't understand. I think he can win it however he wants. If he wants to strike with him, I don't think that Chase is going to be able to put up with the value or the output that much. And if he wants to wrestle him, that's probably the easiest way for him to win. Maybe get some ground and pound. So I'm going to predict a wrestling ground and pound ref stoppage for this fight, Tori. So we both agree there as well. I do like a heavyweight fight though when I feel like it's super unbiased and it's just like kind of a slaughter fest. That's kind of what I'm hoping for.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I'm a psycho for that, but
No,
kinda,
they're fun.
no,
Watching the big guys
I like it
swing
for
and
a
bang is
different
fun.
reason. I like
Oh.
it because I'm seeing two big dudes just coming and
Swing and
throwing
banging.
at
Just
each other. That's why I like
it's
it.
fun.
I don't want to see anybody get knocked out and hurt. I'm just saying I like seeing these big dudes brawl. That's what I like. Let's get into the co-main. Tori, Neil Magny is taking on Daniel Rodriguez. Now this fight was supposed to happen a while ago, but for some medical reason I can't remember off the top of my head. But Rodriguez couldn't get it. Personally, if I'm Rodriguez, I'm happy about that because the turnaround between this fight and his last fight has been pretty fast.
Quick. Yeah.
But also, I might be kind of worried about it because you can't train when you're sick. I mean, you can do your best, but it's not like you're heavy sparring for a camp. But I'll look at Neil first. He's a good overall fighter. He averages 2 takedowns a fight. He could be a busy striker if he wants to. He's coming off a tough loss to Shavkat, but he has beaten some really good guys. He's beaten the Leech. He's beaten Robbie Lawler. He's beaten Geoff Neal. He's beaten Max Griffin. This guy's a vet. He's got a lot of fights under his record. Rodriguez, great boxer. We all know it. Anybody ask you what Daniel Rodriguez is good at, you're going to say he's boxing. Yeah. His cardio has shown that he can go the distance, but personally, I didn't think his cardio was what I've seen before in his last fight. It was still good, but it wasn't that same cardio that I give praise to. And I don't even think he won his fight versus the Leech, personally.
Me neither. Yeah, no, me neither.
So it's hard for me because I like Daniel Rodriguez, but looking at the turnaround time, looking at the illness, looking at a fight that he shouldn't have won, but he's coming off of a win versus a well-rounded UFC veteran that has more pro fights than him, and they're the same age. They're both 35. So I'm going to go with Neil here, and I wouldn't be surprised if he can finish him, Tori.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've been kind of going back and forth on this fight, but I think I'm gonna have to agree with you just because D-Rod does the best when he's forced into exchanges. And I think if Magny uses his reach and just can kind of be in and out, I don't think he's gonna allow that to happen. And I think he might, I'm not sure if I see a finish. I can kind of see Neil Magny taking it by decision, but I just think he needs to really mix it up in terms of Magny, because he is long and rangy. He uses good straight shots. So I think if he can just get in and out of the pocket real quick, I think that'll be the key to winning, just because D-Rod can be a little brawler. Like he likes to get in those like tough exchanges in the pocket, you know? And I mean, we're talking about D-Rod. He does have great power. He has good stand up. He also, I cannot speak words right now. He throws good shots and he does have that powerful hook, but he's not always active either. He's kind of in and out, like injured, blah, blah, whether it's that. And it is a very, very quick turnaround from the Leech. And I did think he lost that fight. Sorry, D-Rod, like you're a cool guy, but I do think you lost it. But, and then you have, I mean, Magny, yeah, he didn't look great against Shavkat, but just the experience, I think will be great. And he needs to determine where this fight goes to gain his confidence, because once he's kind of in the flow of things, he's great. He's active during the fight. And I mean, I don't know. It's kind of a tough mix because I feel like it's different. I kind of had written like D-Rod. I think if he does land one shot, I think maybe he could kind of take Magny out, but I don't think Magny's going to let that happen. I hope not. I wanted to keep kind of a distance a little bit. And so I think I'm going to go Magny by decision for this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a bad pick.
So yeah, that's that. And then, I mean, we have for the main event, I'm actually very excited for this fight.
So am I.
It's exciting. I like Rodriguez and I really like Lemos. I mean, so Yeah, we have Marina Rodriguez versus Lemos. And I mean, I don't know who I want to win this fight. And I don't really know exactly who I have just because of they're just different. I don't know how to explain it. They're just different. I mean, Lemos is coming off of a great submission win against Michelle Waterson. She looked great in that fight. I was kind of rooting for the Karate Holly, but she didn't end up winning and Lemos took it. But it was a great fight. I mean, she has a lot of power. Power and speed is her deal. Cardio, not so much there. It is a 5-round fight. And I think that's gonna be the biggest weakness. She's very quick inside the octagon. She really throws great low kicks inside leg kicks as well. She will stalk you down, just very much pressure fighter with power. And I think that's going to be her biggest deal. I'm not sure if I see her. I can't speak words today. I'm not sure if I see her finishing Marina or not. But then you have Rodriguez, who's on a great win streak. She has wins over Jan, Dern, and Rebus. Lots of experience, especially with like 5-round fights. Good striking, good Muay Thai, very good in the clinch, really great fight IQ, well-rounded, good cardio, and just kind of walks opponents down. But her weakness isn't grappling, and Lemos she does have the advantage there. So it's kind of hard. It's back and forth. And so I think overall, if it does go to decision, I can see Rodriguez winning just because of the cardio advantage. But I could also see Lemos winning by finish. So I am not sure. If it is a finish, I'm going to go Lemos in like 3rd round. But if it's decision, I think I'm going to go Rodriguez. It's a hard fight. But I think if Lemos can get the finish early, she might be able to get it done. But overall, I'm not sure if I see that happening. So I think I'm going to go Rodriguez by decision. That was a lot of words. Yeah.
Yeah. Good breakdown. Rodriguez, I mean, you covered her good. Fast on the feet, throws with a lot of volume, power. I think she's one of the tougher fighters in the strawweight class. She's won 6 of her last 7 fights. Her only loss being to Carlos Barza back in 2020.
And it was a split decision.
That was a tough split decision. But if anything, I mean, you broke her down very good. So if I can add anything, she's very tough. Like she is very, very, very tough.
Yes.
Amanda has that Muay Thai style fighting. She has really good takedown defense, 81%, and 7 of 12 of Amanda's wins are by finish, both with knockouts and submissions. So she's pretty versatile in there. I think Rodriguez is a safe pick. But number one, betting with female fights is never a good idea. Never a good idea.
Hard. Yeah.
Not trying to be sexist, but it's just look at the facts. Every time there's a favorite, the underdog can win. I mean, it's the odds are always, maybe it's the odd makers' fault. That's who I'm going to blame, the odd makers, because the odds are always weird in these female fights. So that's why I don't recommend betting on them. But if you are, I'm going to go with Rodriguez, mainly because I think she's just a little tougher and she has more experience. And I think she can get it done, but I could see her losing too. So it's
a hard fight to pick.
Yeah, it really is a hard fight to pick.
Lemos is tough too. I mean, it's just she has so much power, just her ability to finish people. It's insane. So I mean, it's hard. I mean, I'm like I want to say Lemos. You know, I don't know who I'm rooting for. I don't know. It's almost like at this point, it's like they're both kind of like not even, but they both have their ways to win. So it's kind of who I want to win more now. And I'm like, I don't know for sure. I think I'm gonna stick with Rodriguez, but I would not be surprised if Lemos can't get the finish because I think she might be able to. But yeah,
this might be one of those situations where you got to watch weigh-ins and then you got to watch their entrances and look at their facial expressions and deepen their eyes and be like, that's going to be the winner today, because that's honestly how close this fight is. Actually, I don't think the odds are as close as I'm making it out to seem. I don't have the odds on me, but I'm pretty sure Rodriguez is a pretty heavy favorite, and I wouldn't agree with that if I'm right in that statement. But it looks like are we both taking Rodriguez?
I think so. Yeah. I'm trying to find the odds right now. I cannot seem to find them right now, but I think we're both taking, and they're both 35 too, so they're both kind of getting up there. But I think we're both taking Rodriguez for this one. Not confidently, but I think so.
The odds are Rodriguez -210, Amanda +180. So they actually are a little closer than I thought they were, but still very hard fight to pick. And I'm excited. I mean, the UFC has been putting a lot of these female fights on the main card of these, or the main event of these fight nights, and I've liked them all. I have liked all of the fights, and it's because they all have implications in terms of contendership, or maybe it's just because they're really good female fighters and they put on a good show. So I'm liking that for the female division in UFC just in general. But that's going to be it for our main card predictions for this Saturday's fight night. Tori, you came up with a great idea. Got to give you credit here. I won't steal your thunder. But guys, it's an end of spooky season. Halloween was this Monday, Monday, but like people celebrated over the weekend. Tori said, let's pick our favorite UFC costumes of fighters this year. So I got my top 5. You got your top 5. Tori, I'll let you go first. Who had the best Halloween costumes? We're going to try to get the pictures and I'll display them on here.
Number 5, you have Max Holloway and his whole family because they were dressed as the Tokyo Revengers. It was so cute. And it was such a great costume. I love Max Holloway and Rush and his wife. They're all so cool. So that is my number 5. Number 4, we have Dan Argueta as the Emperor's New Groove. It was Yzma and Kronk. I think it was his wife or his girlfriend. I loved that movie growing up. I don't think I've ever seen that costume, and I like loved seeing it. And it was cool. It was great. Number 3, Robert Whittaker. I think was he like an air fryer? Like he was something so weird.
Yeah,
like I think it was an air fryer. It was just funny. And if you saw his Instagram post for Halloween, he posted like multiple pictures of him just like zoomed in with the mask on, and it was so funny. But I literally think he was an air fryer. And I just thought that was funny. Number 2, Chito Vera and his family. They were the family in Encanto, and it was so cute. And I loved it. And I'm a Chito Vera fan. And at number 1, the best one is McLovin, Brandon Moreno, because that was just awesome and it made me laugh. And it literally made my day seeing that because Brandon Moreno, it just fits. Yeah, I think it just fits him. It was
awesome. Very identical. They looked very identical. It was a very good costume.
For sure. Yeah, it was great.
I got some variety here. So we're gonna add lots of different pictures. I got Cub Swanson at 5. Him and his family dressed up as the Power Rangers.
I did see that. Yeah,
I was like, that's cool. I like Power Rangers. Number 4, Amanda Nunes was like a dinosaur rider. Like she had one of them inflatable dinosaurs, and she's like,
oh yeah, her and her wife and her kid. Yeah,
yeah. And I'm like, that's a solid costume. I'll go there. Mike Perry dressed up as Goku. I'm an anime fan, so I'll give him credit there. Conor McGregor was a captain, and he was a beardless captain, and I was like, that dude is the captain. I'm gonna give him number 2, but Tori, I gotta agree with you at number 1. Brandon Moreno is McLovin from Superbad. Was his chef's kiss. Beautiful, beautiful costume.
It fit perfectly.
Did you dress up for Halloween, Tori?
I did. I dressed up as a couple things. I was Mia Wallace from Pulp Fiction. Gotcha. I was a fortune teller. I was like a dark witch type thing, and then I was like a Men in Black, I think. What about you?
You popped off. I was a prisoner.
I did.
For one costume, I was a prisoner. I didn't get to go to any Halloween parties or celebrate as much as I wanted to because I was really, really busy last week. But my prisoner outfit was kind of cool. It was a last minute put together kind of thing, but it worked.
But it works, yeah.
So yeah, that's gonna be our top 5, and that's gonna be it for today's podcast, guys. If you made it this far, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and tell us in the comments. Let us know. Guys, reread all of those comments, and we love them, except the ones that are mean. We don't love those, but, it's whatever. I mean, I'll cry about it all night, I guess.
Yeah, it's fine. Like, it's fine.
Yeah, but, guys, thank you again for joining. If you're an audio-only listener, that means I'm the boss. I got us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts tonight. That's the goal. So that's gonna be it for today, guys. Catch us next week for episode 11, because there's a big card next week, and my favorite fighters fighting on it. So I'm very, very excited.
Same. Oh my gosh, same. Both of our favorite fighters are fighting.
Dustin,
that'll be so fun.
And Izzy.
Dustin, yeah, let's go.
So yeah, we'll make this one a very special podcast next week. But again, thank you guys for all of the subscribers. 278, that's crazy. 700 views on our last video, like 20-something comments. Really appreciate the love, guys. But we're going to wrap it up today. This was episode 10 of the Not Your Everyday MMA podcast. My name's Alex Henry, and I was with
Tori Habrel.
And we are signing off.